What's this video you posted the other day, Lizard? The glitch that keeps sending the FBI to a tiny Kansas farm.
This video
Looks like it could be interesting. Could be.
This video starts with a mystery. In 2011, James and Teresa Arnold moved to a farm in Butler County, Kansas, just north of the town of Potwin. It was a quiet town, a small town, the kind of town you'd go to and think, gee, this town sure is small and quiet. A few days after the Arnolds moved in, though, 2 sheriff's deputies showed up looking for stolen
Wait, what do you mean I can't smoke pot? It's that I could win pot here.
A truck, and famously, police never make mistakes.
Still, name of the town.
They didn't think much of it. But police kept showing up.
Can't gamble
looking for
marijuana?
various stolen items. So did FBI agents looking for runaway children. The IRS sent agents claiming the Arnolds had committed tax fraud. Ambulances searching for suicidal veterans would barge onto the property at night, waking them up. They got threatening phone calls from people who claimed the Arnolds had scammed them out of money or stolen their credit cards. Sometimes they'd find total strangers angrily searching through their barn, and one time they found a broken toilet on their driveway, seemingly put there either as a bizarre, confusing threat or a bizarre, confusing gift. So why? Why were the Arnolds undergoing this Kafkaesque torture? Comment below if you figured it out. Your prize is increasing my comment engagement. Also feel free to comment whether or not I used Kafkaesque correctly, because I'm pretty sure I didn't. In order to understand the answer, we need to talk about MaxMind. Despite sounding like a PBS series about a kid whose superpower is math, MaxMind is actually
I need you to come in and hold a picture of a question mark so I can take a video of you.
Over 5,000 companies, plus a slew of government agencies, use MaxMind to figure out where people are based on their IP addresses. IP addresses, if you don't know, are strings of numbers, or in some cases numbers and letters, that are unique to your computer. The same way a physical address allows your home to receive mail or Amazon packages, an IP address allows your device to receive email or desperate Amazon attempts to make a new Game of Thrones. The thing is, while IP addresses are really good at communicating where your device is within the internet, they aren't really designed to communicate where that device is physically. That's why IP mapping companies like MaxMind have to figure that out for themselves, gathering IP location info through everything from sophisticated methods like buying data from smartphone apps that track a phone's GPS coordinates, to desperately sketchy methods like war driving, where they send a bunch of people out in cars to find open Wi-Fi networks and capture their IP addresses, like a slightly more depressing version of Pokemon Go. Then, people, companies, or agencies go to MaxMind's database and go, hey, where's this IP address? And MaxMind looks at all their data and goes, here, probably. The thing is, despite their best efforts, sometimes MaxMind can't narrow the location down all that much. Maybe they can only figure out what city an IP address is in, but nothing more than that. Or maybe they just know it's somewhere in Texas. Or in some cases, all MaxMind knows is that the IP address is in the United States. So what do they do in that scenario? Well, the way MaxMind was designed, it still had to spit out coordinates.
The fuck?
So to indicate all we know is it's in America, MaxMind decided to just send users coordinates that are in the center of America. Except not exactly, because the exact center of America has these long, ugly coordinates, so MaxMind changed it to the short, sexy coordinates 38 degrees north, 97 degrees west. Normally, what you should do in a situation like this is make sure those coordinates are in the middle of a lake or something, so that it's clear to people you aren't actually trying to provide them with an actual exact location. But MaxMind, being a poor, naive, multi-million-dollar tech company, didn't think of that. And you'll never guess what just so happened to be on the exact coordinates of 38 degrees north, 97 degrees west. The Arnold's farm. Well, actually, you probably did guess it was the Arnold's farm. It was pretty obvious from the build-up. It turned out there were over 600 million IP addresses that MaxMind showed as coming from the Arnold's home.
Fuck?
So when the FBI was tracking the IP address of a kidnapper, or the IRS was tracking the IP address of a fraudster, or some sad, lonely man was trying to figure out what monster broke his brand new toilet, they would see that the IP address tracked to the Arnold's farm, and instead of realizing that it was MaxMind's way of saying, all we know is they're in America, they would assume that farm is where the IP address was actually coming from, and go there in the middle of the night to wake up the Arnold's to question/harass/provide unnecessary medical care to them. The crazy thing is, the Arnold's had absolutely no idea why any of this was happening for years, until a reporter named Kashmir Hill constructed a database of locations that had multiple IP addresses mapped on them, noticed the Arnold's had a bonkers number of them, and then called the farm to basically be like, hey, just curious, has anything weird happened to you lately? To which the Arnold's replied, is that a question or a threat? After learning what was going on, the Arnold's sued MaxMind, who promptly moved the default US location to the middle of the lake with no nice families living in it. But seeing as a lot of their customer companies don't update their data regularly, the Arnolds still live in a tech-induced hellscape, which brings me to our sponsor, Meta. Nah, I'm just kidding. Our sponsor is Fabulous, which is actually designed to, among other things, help you escape the digital hellscape. I don't know about you, but I very often have trouble regularly doing the things that I know are good for me, but Fabulous makes it easy. When you download the app, you'll take a really easy quiz that asks you things like how much you sleep or how easily you're distracted, and then it'll ask you what you're hoping to improve on,
But
like
it's not Meta, so
productivity
it's
or
not as bad.
mindfulness or eating better,
Right.
and then works by
Interesting video. Very meta. Meta video. I actually just watched that one earlier on my own. I don't know if I want to watch it again right now, Max. That's a good one, though. There's a new Odd Header game.
Sometimes you come across a game so mysterious it makes you think, let's make sure I never come across this again. This is why today we're diving into 7 of the most mysterious video games, brought to you by Hunted Killer Mallory Rock. Use the link down below, or you can go to huntedkiller.com/oddheader and use code oddheader for $10 off your order. Again, make sure to use code oddheader for a $10 discount. Bryce's movement engine. Thanks to frequent contributor Hajime the Fool for submitting this discovery on the OnHeader Discord. Bryce's movement engine is a especially perplexing video game that showed up on the Steam store in 2020, which instantly raised the questions, who the hell is Bryce and what kind of game would be Bryce's movement engine? The game itself is a rather simple platformer in a mishmashed environment with a dated early to mid-90s aesthetic. It doesn't appear to have any story and never explains anything about the mystery man Bryce himself. But one unsettling Easter egg reveals there's something much darker lurking beneath the surface. As in the first level of the game, the player reaches this wall and starts pressing left and right continuously. They'll start to slowly crawl through the wall until suddenly they're teleported to a strange alternate version of the level. Here the sky becomes a darkening blood red, the music slowly becomes more distorted and out of tune, and players watching trees from afar. It only continues to become more and more unsettling the further that you progress through the level, until you go back to the spot where you originally broke out of bounds and try again, only to end up in a different map with some even more unsettling noise where the only thing to do is run to the right, until eventually you come across some sonic rings that spell out the question that's on everybody's mind. Who is Bry? The sky continues to get darker and darker as you continue to run further and further, until finally, holy a giant evil-eyed Bryce shows up behind you moving at an impossible to escape speed, and when he inevitably catches you, you're booted back to the map screen. I don't want to play this anymore. However, if you were to return to the secret area again, access to the second secret area would now be cut off. But if we continue further through the original secret area, we can find Bryce crying? What the hell? Moving even further, you can keep going right until apparently the level asset's cut off and you're seemingly out of bounds, when suddenly another Bryce comes out of nowhere, followed by the game fading to static. Bryce appears to surround the player while the game continues to fade in and out of static, only for it to switch to a Sonic level graphic that says to chase. What follows from there only continues to get more insane as hell, as this time you chase Bryce and another message appears saying some may have changed. What? The screen that follows is an absolutely baffling scene of an elderly man in a jacket in a red flashing room staring at a mysterious door. And when you enter that door, you come out of a skull on the map screen you can't return to. What the hell just happened? And now if you return to the level, it looks slightly different with the secret area now blocked off by construction. The only other clue we have is a Steam Greenlight campaign trailer that came out 3 years before Bryce's movement engine that reveals Bryce to be an eerily soft-spoken man.
I know we's gonna have some fun, but how much fun? Well, that's up to you.
Okay, now I'm definitely done with this game. Funny Pizza Land. Funny Pizza Land is a very aptly named game considering there's absolutely nothing funny about it and it's terrifying as hell. This nightmarish title has been shared around the internet for the last decade in a strange, inexplicable adventure where you follow this absolutely atrocious looking dude Pedro on a journey to find a global media monster in what appears to be a typical weekday in Funny Pizza Land. The game takes Pedro through a hellscape complete with haunting music, disturbing monsters, and an all-you-can-eat buffet at Pedro's Pizzeria, all while you encounter relentless, inexplicable horrors such as this thing. As the game progresses, Funny Pizza Land keeps taking turns even more dark and mysterious, until you end up in this terrifying dungeon where a monk appears to be torturing someone in a cage, and Pedro faces off with the global media monster, who kind of looks like an evil version of me, before the game ends with Pedro trapped inside a bedroom with a flickering TV. Perhaps the biggest mystery about the game, however, is contention over whether or not the game was actually made in 2002 like it adamantly claims. The game certainly looks like it was made in 2002, but many think it's only designed to look so, as no one has been able to find any record of the game existing before 2011. Confusing the matter further, some have even ripped the game apart and found it was made with 3D Game Studio A5, an engine that was primarily used in the early 2000s, as well as all the game files being dated 2002, which means either this game really is an absolutely twisted early 2000s creation, or the creator has really gone out of their way to confuse players into thinking so. The question then becomes why someone would do something so pointlessly confusing, but then again, this is the person who made Funny Pizza Land. Not sure why I'm expecting anything about this to make sense in the first place. A. Thanks to Dean Sinclair for submitting this to the Oddheader Twitter. A is a seriously strange game that apparently showed up on the Nintendo eShop in October 2021 that went completely unnoticed, until that Zook Zook on Reddit supposedly found it a few days later after its silent release. Starting with the most obvious mystery is A's name itself, as you can't really search for A on the internet, making it appear as though it doesn't actually exist. In fact, the only way that Zook Zook claims to have found the title was by sorting the games by lowest price on the eStore and finding it quickly as it was only 89 pence. Not only that, the game was only released in Europe, meaning I had to set up a UK account and obtain a UK Nintendo e-currency in order to download it. Right off the bat, the title screen is immediately striking, which differs quite a bit in tone once you start the game. A is a challenging platformer where you appear to be playing as something. After beating the first level, the game tells you will soon be reincarnated, without further explaining. Of course, the next scene takes place on a half watermelon where apparently Captain Olimar from the Nintendo classic Pikmin is randomly chilling. The developer Banana Cat appears to be an entirely unknown entity, except a private Twitter account and a previous title released the same year on Steam called SDST Deluxe, which appears to feature the same protagonist. The bonus menu on the pause screen of A doesn't really provide any clues, though there is this strange screen with the Mona Lisa that certainly seems odd. At the end, it takes a pretty crazy, shocking turn that I never expected, as you meet and defeat Dracula, who says "just remember," and then provides a long binary code. Translating this, we get the message to input a code at the main menu. In doing so, we immediately get this horrifying screen reminiscent of the 1993 Sonic CD Easter egg, a discovery in Sonic CD that reached creepypasta level of notoriety, where if you input a code on this screen, you suddenly get this image, which is believed by many to be some sort of inside joke by a developer. From here, what used to happen was so insane at first I didn't believe it, but thanks to this footage from Rahim Ali on Discord, who verified while playing on a Switch with a serial that can't be modded, and the original 1.0 version of the game, if you waited long enough on this screen, an image of President Xi Jinping with a red armband and a tiny mustache would appear, which was removed after a version 1.1 patch. Perhaps a good move, considering that Easter egg is highly reminiscent of one I covered in the game Devotion, that got the game removed from stores for also hiding criticism of President Xi Jinping, who has a reputation for banning media critical of him. All I gotta say is this Easter egg really confuses what exactly the creator's actual intentions for all this nonsense really is. Well, if anyone out there wants to play A and try to figure out if there's any more method to the madness, now's your chance to do so, as I can't imagine Nintendo's gonna be too happy if they find out about this one. Metal Gear Solid 3. Snake Eater. Thanks to Trashy Aimer for submitting this on the Oddheader Discord. Although every Metal Gear Solid takes a huge step forward in Hideo Kojima's path towards complete madness, we're not actually going to talk so much about 2004's Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, but rather the minigame demos in each of the Metal Gear Solids on PlayStation 2. Metal Gear Solid 2's minigame demo was a fun, unexpected Tony Hawk-style skateboarding game, which featured Snake and Rain shredding it up on an oil rig to pull off some sick moves, which served as a teaser for Konami's Evolution Skateboarding released the following year. The minigame demo Easter egg in Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, however, is a much more mysterious curiosity. The game, referred to in the credits as Nightmare Game Guy Savage, can be accessed by saving the game before Snake escapes the jail cell near the end of the game. After talking to Paramedic about the movie Dracula, the player needs to quit and then load the save again. The player then suddenly drops into what appears to be a dream sequence, which throws you right into a hack-and-slash game inside a shoddy warehouse filled with zombie-like creatures in police uniforms, fighting off zombie hordes by doing stylish moves with your hook swords, which also features some strange graffiti I can only assume was far from finished. If you kill enough, you will power up and turn into a monster of some sort, allowing you to kill even more zombies. But once the timer runs out, Snake wakes up and the game is over. To players' confusion through the years since finding the Easter egg, the minigame didn't turn out to be a teaser for any Konami game later released, even though that was supposedly the tradition with these minigames in Metal Gear's PlayStation 2 titles. When series director Hideo Kojima was first asked about why Guy Savage was in the game or what it was supposed to be, he gave the most Hideo Kojima response ever and replied, "What game?" He later said that the minigame inside Metal Gear Solid 3 was originally going to be Konami's 1985 game Gradius, but that he wanted to include an original demo instead, The only other clue we got is some believe it may have been a cancelled prototype for an installment in the Metal Gear related series Zone of the Enders, as there are some references to an Anubis 2 in the date of the demo, though it's very possible these were leftovers from the 2003 Zone of the Enders 2, which was called Anubis Zone of the Enders in Japan. Even stranger when Snake Eater was later released on the PlayStation 3 and Nintendo 3DS. For some unknown reason, Guy Savage was completely removed from the game. It's been nearly 2 decades since we've ever seen Guy Savage, and unfortunately what the game was supposed to be may just be forever locked away in the mind of Hideo himself. And whether or not we can get a straight answer out of him on anything is a mystery that truly can never be solved.
I love my mom.
Garage Bad Dream Adventure. Thanks to Jakey for submitting this through the Oddheader Discord. Garage Bad Dream Adventure is actually the first game I ever covered on the channel, and at the time I actually wasn't able to say much as the PC game was incredibly rare and never translated into English. Against all expectations, however, Garage Bad Dream Adventure recently received a US release at the end of 2021 on mobile, iOS, and Android of all things, with all new graphics completely remastered and apparently lots of new content. And now that I finally have played the game, it still makes no sense. It turns out you're actually playing as a man named Mr. Yang connected to a machine called Garage who's using it for some form of dream therapy. Which, to summarize as best as I can, Garage is a deeply unsettling game about Machine Yang, who seeks upgrades for his robotic fish-like body as he's led on a sequence of random tasks through mysterious notes, looking for human-like shadows belonging to each robot that can supposedly help you escape Garage. And while Garage itself is a game where the entire nature could not be reasonably explained, the mobile version adds more details that only bring up more questions. For example, a character named Noom blocks a pathway through most of the game. However, at a random point, Noom leaves his position saying what I wanted wasn't there and never returns again. While exploring the path he obstructed only leads to an unexplainable hall of darkness. In the mobile version, however, a new journal has been added to the hallway, giving more explanation of Noom supposedly finding something in the darkness. Even stranger, the text log updates with Noom's last quote before he decides to disappear forever, and the text log usually only updates when there's an objective left for the player. Another unexplainable aspect is a new area that was added where you can fish and catch a frog named Name, who gives a mysterious quote every time you catch him, giving such wise words of wisdom such as, "You're a nice guy, you're a fine guy, you're a wonderful guy.
Oh my god.
Take it. Take everything. You will disappear if you try to find out about me. Isn't that amusing? Ki. Even stranger if you were to achieve the worst ending in the game where you stay in Garage. When you fish the inane, this time he has a unique message to share before he disappears forever, never to be seen again. Huh? Oh come on. Is it over already? Didn't you promise you'd keep playing with me? Let's keep playing. I have everything, you know. What? I have everything. Ba ba ga ga ba. Oh, well, thanks for the silk drawers, I guess. What the Infra. Thanks to PA for submitting this through oddheader.com. Infra is a fairly obscure first-person game released in 2016 on Steam by indie developer Loista Interactive from Finland. Infra puts you in the shoes of an ordinary structural analyst who documents structural integrities in the environment with nothing but a flashlight and a camera, with a disclaimer that clearly states it's not a horror game, but that you may feel so after playing it.
Yeah, I played
with
this.
that sort of warning, you can imagine why this game's on this list. Infra is unique in that much of the content and lore of the game is hidden throughout multiple paths in the environment. For instance, after a while into the game, murals and hidden paintings of this odd monster referred to as the Morco can be found. It can be seen briefly in the background in rare moments of the game. The mask of the Morco can be found in the darkest and sometimes startling hidden corners of the map. But perhaps strangest of all, he can also be found on an incredibly trippy hidden map only accessible through console commands, which consists of an infinite tube of binary code that inexplicably spells the word other side. Whoa. You can also start to find strange glowing green mushrooms, which infected this hidden zombified man here. Even so, that doesn't explain this unexpectedly gruesome hidden scientist quarters covered floor to ceiling in blood or some other unknown substance, with Moriko's face and a message on the wall stating, "Inside, tell me, it's behind the walls." Behind this wall is a computer terminal with a cipher that when decoded references a creature named Ugu as the god of the underground, who can be found hidden in the game as a statue surrounded by blue mushrooms. With little known about Ugu besides that Ugu may hold some sort of cure from the green mushrooms in the game's lore. Also, if you call a hidden phone number you can randomly find in the game, you can find some mushroom tea on a refurbished dock. Drinking the tea puts you in a strange secret area called the Wasteland for 5 minutes, before background noise pervades the area and a sudden flash blinds you back to reality. If you manage to find the key under the cell tower before time runs out, You can open a hidden hatch where you can find a model with a white mask and artifacts that reveal a deeper ARG, alternate reality game, where players would need to seek clues outside of the game in order to solve the rest of the game's mysteries. Additionally, the secret location was viewed from a bird's eye view. Symbols that can be seen in a hidden bunker in the game where more code rolling can be found can also be seen painted in terrain textures from above. After this was found, 2 users in the Infra Discord, Zunti and Ascuden, began posting screenshots from the game with cryptic messages in the file names and in the images themselves.
I mean,
with only portions of their
it
code
is
currently
a
solved
little
at the
bit of
time
a
of this
horror
video's
game, though.
release.
It's like urban
Considering players of
exploration
Infra have
stuff,
been waiting 6
basically,
years
so.
for a supposed massive update to the game that still hasn't been released. Zunti and Ascuden might be leading us down this trail for a while.
But yeah,
what
not
all these mysterious
implicitly a
pieces of
horror
Infra
game.
ultimately add up to, what the ominous Moriko and Ugu's ulterior intentions actually may be, and how long Zunti and Ascuden intend on keeping those breadcrumbs flowing, are questions with answers that still remain a mystery.
Really.
Attacking Zagetta. Thanks to 2Azalea for submitting this through oddheader.com. The mystery surrounding the Zagetta games is such a confusing rabbit hole it's hard to say exactly where it began. People seem to have first noticed something was up when Attacking Zagetta first appeared on the PS Store for PlayStation 4 on June 22, 2015, with a rather cryptic trailer, only to find that the actual game looks like the The ugly mess appeared to be near impossible and practically unfinished, with such obtuse objectives and unclear directions that no one was able to achieve any of the game's trophies for at least 5 years, leaving its small player base to wonder if a game this bad could have really been made unintentionally. And before anyone could figure that out, Attacking Zagetta 2 suddenly appeared in the PlayStation Store a year later in 2016. The only problem is, no one's actually managed to get past the first level. Furthermore, Attacking Zagetta 2 has 15 trophies no player has ever achieved or figured out since the game originally appeared. And before the game even begins, you briefly start with a ball in a maze where again, no one has figured anything out before it boots you into the game. However, a number of clues and leads connected to the game seem to confirm there is something more going on here. First, Attacking Zagetta opens with a strange copyright that extends to 5015.
What?
And right from the main menu, Hebrew can be seen all over the background. A really big giveaway though is a minigame called
Benny
Flap that
Soft?
full-on emulates Flappy Bird.
Benny?
And to briefly remind everyone of Flappy Bird, it was a historic moment in mobile gaming in 2013 where a truly awful game showed up on the App Store that became the most downloaded game on the store, benefiting a single Vietnamese
Apparently it's the
developer
hardest game
before he
ever.
removed it. Weirdly, however, the Zagetta series actually predates Flappy Bird. As if we were to visit the developer's channel Denisoft on YouTube, we can see there was once a now deleted mobile game called Zagetta Video Game that was actually available in 2012. And thank God that game was removed so that I don't have to play it. And this trailer for the Zagetta Video Game 2.3, which claims to be the first Puerto Rican video game, has me seriously confused, as the provided English captions over the awful text-to-speech voices say, "Our parents are dead, sign this contract. I will take good care of you, trust me. Okay, elder brother, I love you and trust you with my
got a
life.
butt chin.
Sometime after, I will give you what I want and whenever I want. If you're hungry, then sell vitamins." The most mysterious lead, however, lies in a cryptic page known as the Vault that once appeared on the developer's website. With the use of archive.org, we can pull up an archive version of the page that said, "The Vault is where you can find Denisoft's most secret files. You may be allowed to enter once you beat one of our games in the following list. The password will be revealed to you and you will know the truth behind the company, the true origin of our games,
What?
and many other unknown things." And if you click enter the vault, you can see a password protecting you from going forward. While the Denisoft website is long from being
What
up in
the
the state,
fuck?
and this page clearly indicates nothing here is as it seems. It doesn't look like any of that slowed the developers from continuing with the insanity, as 3 years ago, Flap returned with Flap ZVR on the official Oculus store. Oh god, do I have to play this? Somebody help me. And if you're looking for another mysterious game to play at home, look no further than Hunt to Killer. Hunt to Killer is a really
Has
cool
anyone
murder
ever done
mystery
Hunt to Killer?
subscription box
Have any of you
service
guys ever
where
tried
your
it?
help is needed in an investigation so you can hone
Here's a
your
link to that
detective skills from the
video.
comfort
This
of
is
your
odd
couch.
header. Check out the video. Check out the link. Really like that channel. All of his videos are very good. Very, very good. Very good. Watch something else. Let's watch. Fascinating horror. Yeah, I've watched that a bunch of times. I like that channel. I enjoy. Guys, Assassin Rapper made a 100 stories video. It's 8.5 hours long. I hate random aging. That's the first one. The fuck does that mean? We've seen this one.
This is more of a vent post than a story. I have an unusual condition where I randomly
spend 8
age
hours watching
to
it.
any number.
I would
Some
need
days
someone to
I
send me
might
food
be
at
an
least.
old man, and other days I might be a baby.
Food,
My parents
coffee,
did their best to give me the best life they
some
could
McDonald's.
offer. I couldn't go to school all of the time because I would wake up completely
Possibly
old
some
at the height of
substances, I don't
6'2", while the night before I was just a crying baby. There are times I would wake up at the right healthy ages, from 15 to
poster?
45, and that's just my opinion. My dad would promise me to take me somewhere fun as I was a child. Then the next day I would age up to an old man again, and all I wanted to do was watch the news. I wish I could just age in order like everyone else. I don't care if it was young to old or old to young, because random aging is just terrible. At the moment you could be at the prime age of being in your 20s, while the next day you could end up as a crying baby again. People found me as a crying baby on the street, and also as an old homeless man on the bench who is nearing to death. I just want to be normal. Many different types of people like me at different ages. Mothers or women who want to become pregnant like me as a baby, while old folk like me when I am old, and the present generation like me in the prime ages of being in my 20s, 30s and 40s. I was once kidnapped as a baby, and then the kidnapper let me go a day later, as I ended up aging to a man in my 30s. A day later, I found
like a
myself
good way
in
to
an
get out
old
of like
people's
some
home,
like
as I had
crimes.
randomly
Robbed a
aged
bank.
to an
Turn.
old man.
Next day,
in
I'm
my
sorry.
90s.
You can't hold
Then
me.
a day
You can't
later,
hold me
I walked
responsible. I'm
out
a
of the
child.
old people's home as a rebellious teenager. I just want to age normally, in order where I could plan things. It's impossible to plan anything in my condition, as in one moment I could be an old man, and the next day I could go back to being a baby. There is nothing out there. If this is depressing, then I am sorry.
Then I am sorry. What do you wait? Hold on. What do you guys rate that story? On a chail, chail. What the fuck is a chail? On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 for completely just and 1 being that it makes sense. One of the most coherent videos. What do you mean? It was insane. 3, 2, chail.
David was a host of a mystery dinner night. There were lots of nods to Hitchcock movies scattered around the house, and there would be a murder, not real of course, happen, and the guests were to find out which person in the house was the killer. There were 4 guests, 2 men and 2 women. The man that was putting on the event said to the guests, "Hello, my name is David, and I have rented out this luxurious old house to hold what was to be a very exciting and thrilling night. There will be tributes throughout the house that pay tribute to different movies from Hitchcock, and you will be able to maybe put 2 and 2
Also, I think
together
Mr. Frog
with
from
different clues
Smiling Friends
left
is just the
around
peasant
house
from Warcraft
as
2.
to who the
Think about
murderer is. We will be starting the night with a brief introduction by the man himself, who is played by the winner to play the role of Alfred Hitchcock, who is Eugene, who I must say strikes an uncanny resemblance to Alfred Hitchcock himself. I had auditions from lots and lots of different people, but I'm sure Eugene will play the role of Mr. Hitchcock perfectly himself. I must let you know that Eugene, or should I say Alfred, knows who the killer is, so maybe he can try to play friends with him to try to get information out of him. He isn't going to spill the beans, of course, but you never know. If you're that clever, you might be able to get information out of him that he doesn't even realize he is giving. From here, friends, I introduce you to
That's
Mr.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock.
He's in the show?
Eugene Studd.
The fuck? I thought something was happening. I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was just like zooming in on his face and he was going to be like, yeah, the audio died completely. I have no idea what's going on.
Today,
I think it's on the video. Oh no, dude, I feel bad for. What if it's all muted?
Of the author's names.
Okay. The rest of the story's fucked. There's no audio. Dude, what the fuck? Alfred Hitchcock's corrupted. What is happening?
Of the author's names.
You might.
We'll never know.
Hi, this is Kate.
At least it doesn't
Valentine.
die the
I'm
entire time.
Responding about the request you put on the police auction materials. I bought a few kids' books from that auction. Actually, a whole crate of them. At the time, I didn't look at them. I just put them on the bargain shelf in order of the author's names. I had never heard of the author or the book title, so I gave them all orange stickers, which meant 50 cents each. One day, it was particularly dead, so I paged through them, and I noticed this one with very simple, minimalistic drawings called Dave's Days.
Dave's Days.
There was no cohesive story. Unlike other children's books that use each page as a part of a lesson,
Dave's Days.
There was none of that. One page was the Dave character sitting at a kitchen table with a mug in front of him. He was the kind of stick figure you see on bathroom doors.
This is like probably one of his best stories.
Written in block letters above him. The whole book was like that. Just Dave, sitting alone in one setting or another. The park, the library. I put the book away and
Dave
looked through the others and found another one in the Dave series. This one was called Dave and His Friends. The cover was Dave outside his house, like the
Dave
first,
and His Friends.
Next to him stood a little girl with a blonde ponytail. 2 boys and a girl, all brown-haired with freckles, looked out from the window inside the house. This book was all about Dave and these kids doing things together and going places, like to the park and getting ice cream.
Doing things and going places.
Every time Dave did something nice for them, they'd say, "Dave is my friend." But since no one has a mouth and therefore no one is smiling, it only makes the whole thing odd, like when you read a happy text message without an exclamation mark. I put the book away. Later that night, I decided to Google the titles of the books. When I got nothing, I just Googled the things in the book, and eventually I Googled the phrase, "Dave is my friend." An article came up. It was about a girl named Jennifer Holland who had gone missing sometime earlier, and about how her parents hadn't given up hope. It also alluded to police being suspicious of them, as the circumstances of her disappearance were strange. They said they woke up to find their front door open and Jennifer gone. 2 things really struck me from the article. The first was that the last name Holland seemed significant. I couldn't remember why until I went back to the Dave books and saw that Dave lived in Hollandtown. The second thing, I'll get to that in a sec. After hours of searching for more information, I stumbled across a forum. I don't remember where, maybe on Reddit, but one subject said, "Has anyone read Dave and the Others?" It was a guy
Dave
with
and
the
the
handle
Others.
Oregon Ollie, who had found an eerily similar book. The post was 2 years old. Later, I searched for Oregon Ollie, but his account was inactive. When he Googled the book, he didn't find anything either. But, like me, he started Googling everything in the book and found a news story, just like I had. 3 siblings had been found dead at Chippewayan Lake in Canada. They lay on the shore, holding hands. Their last name was Robin. They died from exposure. Mr. and Mrs. Robin woke up in the middle of the night by a cold wind the night their kids went missing. The door had been left wide open. It was January. The police found a note at the Robin home left by the kids, but the article said the investigators would not release the contents to the public. Oregon Ollie said that in his book,
This
there were
is
3
fucking
red
bizarre.
robins that
Oregon
would fly over
Ollie?
Dave's head when he got sad.
Who is he?
The book was mostly a man walking the city sidewalks at night or sitting at a park bench alone with the stars over him. Whenever Dave seemed sad, the robins would come and fly over his head, and he would just look up and watch. The second thing that I mentioned earlier that struck me in the first article I read was that Jennifer Holland had drawn a picture before she went missing. It was of a stick figure man and herself. Her parents didn't know what it was. She had written, "Dave is my friend," on it. I don't have the books anymore. I went back through them after reading Oregon Ollie's account, and seeing those 3 kids in the window of Dave's house freaked me out, so I threw them away. I still think about it, though. Sometimes I wish I kept them, but the thought of having them near me gives me the chills. I wasn't going to mention this, but after I read the Reddit account, I wrote my own post about it. No one ever picked up on it, but right after that, I started getting phone calls. When I answered, I would hear some electrical buzzing, but that was it. First, the calls were just at my house, but then I got them on my cell and even at work. Slowly, it died down, but I still get them from time to time.
What?
The last thought that crosses my mind when I lock my doors at night is, I wonder if it's Dave calling me. And I wonder if he's there somewhere,
But it was not real.
watching my house when I go to bed. Sometimes I move my bureau in front of the door just to be safe.
Damn. Gotcha. You didn't see it coming, but it got you. I just want to cry. Is this story going to be about how the whole world was inflicted with the global
In
crying
my area,
plague and everyone just
nobody
starts
is
crying?
allowed to cry,
What?
and it's a hard thing to keep up to not ever cry while
What?
living in an area full of horrid and cold people. My parents are always shouting at us to never cry, and every house has a swimming pool, and we all live next to rivers and canals. When my eldest brother started crying, my parents took his eyes out so that he could never, ever cry again.
What?
And when my second eldest
I don't think
brother
that's how that works.
started to cry, my parents took his eyes out as well, and also the rest of his face. If we were on the verge of
Damn.
crying, we
Why would they
then
make
need
your
to jump
brother
into
into
the
Mr.
swimming
Potato
pool
Head?
or to the next nearest river or canal. It's a horrible moment when you find yourself
This is the
on
most
verge of
brutal
tears
assassin rapper
because
video
someone
ever
has done
made.
something to you, or a tragic event has happened which just makes you emotional. When I am on the verge of tears, I just jump into a swimming pool, or I go and find the next nearest river or canal.
It's just the
have
swimming
nearly
pool. I'm not
drowned
crying.
many times,
I'm
but
not
at least
crying,
I've
I'm
never
swimming.
cried. This is why everyone in my area has a swimming pool and lives next to rivers or canals. You cannot cry underwater. I once helped a friend to never cry by pushing him into the canal, where he unfortunately drowned. His parents understood why I did this to their son, as he was on the verge of crying. And when I kept asking him whether he was okay, it just pushed him nearer to crying. Then one day, I found a cabin in some abandoned forest, and inside this cabin, silence and privacy was present. I was able to cry without anyone knowing
can't do that,
or seeing
man.
me. I passed this secret on to 4 of my friends, and we each took turns going into this cabin to cry on our own. It was amazing. We had a timetable of whose turn it was to cry inside the cabin. But one day a terrible event had come upon us when the town economy had completely gone. This destroyed the order of the timetable because all 5 of us desperately needed to go inside the cabin so that we could cry about it on our own. None of us dared to go inside the cabin together and to see each other cry, because that would be an abomination to see each other cry. So I took my gun out and shot my 4 friends, and I went inside the cabin
this is seriously
on my own
fucking weird,
about
man.
the terrible event of the economy
This
and
guy
my 4
is
dead
fucking
friends.
insane.
So everything with the cabin worked out in the end.
What the fuck, man? Big shout out to Anthony Van. Okay. Oh, we've seen this one. This is a good one, man. No more crying, you little bitch.
Hello. Let me tell you about a story about a detective called Mason. He had a brilliant idea for investigating crime scenes. The idea wasn't his, of course. It had been used for years and years and could have been forgotten about, but different investigators still use it when investigating crime scenes. The idea is creating a miniature model of the whole crime scene. For instance, if it was a farmhouse with 2 people and one stabbed with a knife, then create a model of that entire scene. Mason used to find it very helpful to be able to look at the model of the crime scene and go through it in his mind what could have happened. This method helped Mason solve lots of different crimes. Mason's wife Susan was a teacher in the local school and used to often worry about Mason out and about in his job, but she used to like when he was in the basement with his crime scene miniatures because she knew he was safe at home and wasn't in the way of any criminal that could harm him or worse, kill him. One day there was a murder in the school and Mason had to do a miniature of the hallway by the lockers where the murder took place. He knew that there was
Mason,
just
I'm gonna
lockers,
need you to make a miniature
school
dead
bag,
child.
and a boy
Thank
that
you.
seemed to have been hit by a hammer.
Have that done by
Mason
5
was
o'clock.
working hard trying to figure out what he could see in it. Sometimes he wondered, was it harder there being a lot to the scene or less? But he knew one thing, that no matter how much there was in the scene or how little, it seemed to help him having a miniature model. That night Mason seemed to have had a nightmare and woke up feeling agitated after it. He got up to get a glass of water. On his way, by accident, he knocked against his wife's handbag and it fell to the floor, with some of its contents spilt out on the floor. He froze in fear when he saw what he saw staring up at him from the floor. It was a hammer with what looked like blood on the top. He looked back at the bed, hoping Susan wouldn't wake up. He put it together. Susan had been talking about a boy who was constantly bullying her behind people's backs, and she was afraid to tell anyone because she felt they would think she had no control over her students. Mason knew the student was hit with a blunt object, which was very highly likely to be the hammer. Mason
Very
felt
like,
movement
yo,
from the
Hellfire,
bed
leave that resub,
and
dude.
quickly put the hammer back into Susan's bag. He went down to the kitchen
don't steal your
and
wife's
drank some
hammers.
water,
Look
and
through her
then
hammer
walked
drawer.
back to the basement and
Fucked up.
looked
That's
at
a
the miniature
violation.
model. He imagined Susan striking the student on the head with a hammer, and knew that he heard the CCTV footage was missing, and that would be explained by Susan being able to have access to it to delete it. Every piece of the puzzle was falling into place. Suddenly he heard movement behind him and looked around. His wife Susan was standing next to him with a miniature model of himself lying in a pool of blood. She put the miniature model of him down on the ground and said, "Well, Mason, I was really hoping it wouldn't come to this, where I have to finish this miniature crime scene, but it looks like I'll have to make the background or basement." She pulled out a gun and shot Mason in his head. 6 months later, Susan was speaking at the book launch of her bestseller called My Husband is Gone, but I Continued His Passion. She spoke into the mic with emotion. "I am here today talking about my book, which is a way of me coping with the murder of my hard-working husband, who was passionate about figuring out ways of solving crimes by using miniature crime scene models. The title is long, but I couldn't think of any other appropriate title to use other than My Husband is Gone, but I Continued His Passion. My husband was such a loving man, and the only time I was truly content with him working on his investigations was when he was in the basement working on his miniature crime scene models. After my husband died, I tried to harness my emotions into making a miniature crime scene of him in honor of him. I would love if my husband was still alive and I didn't have to write this book, but I want to speak out to the many wives of men like my husband. Don't take a day for granted, because if your husband is working in a dangerous line of work
Didn't you kill
like
your
mine
husband?
was, then his life could be snuffed out at any minute." The crowd were
Your
lapping
husband
up
made
Susan's
miniatures
speech, and Susan was
living. I don't
enjoying
know,
knowing she would get lots of royalties from
much
her
danger
books
he was
and
in.
TV appearances, etc., and her bully was out of the way. She paused for a moment, thinking to herself, "I didn't want to appear a pushover teacher by saying I couldn't control my student, and I didn't want to harm my loving husband, but I had to. I wasn't a murderer, so it's better I got a book deal and wasn't cut out as the murderer. They would think I was some sort of psycho." She saw a fly
This fucking
land in her
story's going on
hand
for a while.
and thought to herself, "After all, I wouldn't hurt a fly."
Jesus Christ. Interesting stories. I don't know about all that. Ba-da-da-down and then down and down, da-da-down. All right. Watch something else. Hmm. I don't know. Let me do one more thing. Apparently someone modded Thomas the Tank Engine into Elden Ring already. the fuck? It's like the first mod I've seen, and it's Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, that would be fun. It's a lot of work, though. Do not watch these videos alone.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this
Says
is Slapped
right
Ham.
here.
Today we're looking at some creepy videos that seem to just get weirder and weirder. So hit that subscribe button and get ready for more scary content just like this.
Sisters Rochelle Stocks and Ashley Naisbitt claim they have evidence that the pub they run is heavily haunted by some kind of spirit. Shortly after becoming the owners of the Black and Grey pub in Darlington, UK, the sisters began noticing
That's a really
some
pretty looking
strange
building, though. I like
activity
that.
around the property. Initially, they thought the premises was being burgled when they heard loud banging noises coming from the basement.
Who's that?
They rang the police, who, after a thorough search, couldn't find any evidence of anyone being in the basement.
Yeah, pencil
Soon,
dropping
things began
is
to
pretty
escalate as
scary.
staff
It's
and
one of the
patrons
scarier things that
started
can
seeing
happen to you.
mysterious shadows zipping about rooms,
You better be fucking careful
and
with shit like
objects
that.
would often move
Don't
without
fucking
reason.
joke around. It's not a joke.
In this CCTV footage, we can see Rochelle holding a pen in the air. She said she was inviting the resident ghost, who they've dubbed Paul, to move the pen on command. Watch what happens.
Watch what happens.
Weirdly, the pen does indeed move. The reaction from Rochelle and those watching certainly seems genuine. Here it is slowed down, nothing seems to touch the pen at all, yet it spins in her hand. In another piece of footage, a staff member can be seen outside in the bin area when something moves. Watch. A broom.
Oh, fuck. Didn't realize I was muted.
Watch.
I was saying it's a possum, and I heard people saying, like, what? And then someone was like, and then, And I thought they were questioning what I was saying, so I didn't even think about my mic being off, I guess. I'm just saying, it looks like a possum, right? Like, it looks like a small animal, face, eye, nose. It's just laying there. And then the broom hits it's a possum and it runs away. But it was actually a fucking person's hand.
A broom seems to fall onto the employee for no reason at all. It was later confirmed that the employee thought the moving pen footage was all a joke, but when the broom fell on him, he was terrified. Then, in this final piece of CCTV
Who even
footage,
uses
we can see
brooms
something
anymore?
strange in one of the lounge areas of
Jesus
the pub.
Christ, it's 2022. What the fuck are you doing?
You can see a dark shadow move through the room. The owners have said that they've had some staffing issues due to all the bizarre activity on the property, with some employees refusing to go into the cellar alone.
Nah,
So is
brooms.
this old pub really haunted?
Brooms are
Judging
not
by the reports
even
from both
made
patrons
anymore.
and
No one makes
staff,
them.
coupled with this eerie footage, it certainly seems like something strange is happening on this property.
You notice that you can't buy a broom at the store anymore? It's because they don't know. They're like, yeah, we don't need these anymore. There's enough brooms out there for everybody. Plus, everyone's moved on to bigger and better things. The broom industry is completely dead. The bottom has fallen out of the broom industry.
This next puzzling clip was uploaded to TikTok by user Delegati Art. It shows what many are calling a glitch in the Matrix. Take a look.
The lights are on. But the lights are not on.
The TikToker shows that the light in his living room is off, yet in the reflection on a glass frame on the wall,
This is the
the light
dumbest thing
appears
I've
to
ever
be
seen.
on.
But when I'm looking at it, I can see the light bulb on.
At one point, he shows both the lights and the reflection in the one shot, and you can see there's a difference between the two.
Hang on. See it? You can still see it. Still see it. Lights are off. You can still see it. I'm like crouched down to show you. That's a glitch in the Matrix, my friends.
This bizarre clip has since gone viral, racking up thousands of views with hundreds of comments trying to debunk what's actually going on.
It's probably got so many views because people
Some
hate
people
it so
think
much.
perhaps it's all a trick of perspective and that the reflection is actually showing a different light just in a room down the hallway. However, others aren't convinced, saying that the angles aren't right for that to be the answer. I'll throw this one out to
Also,
you.
the fact that he
viewers.
has
Where
like
do you
8
sit on
lights
this?
out,
Is it
there's like
all
a
an
fucking
illusion,
ring
a
light.
trick
There's
of
like 2
perspective,
different ring
or is
lights
there
in the
another way
room.
to explain this bizarre
I
situation?
think it's possible that he
Let me
might
know in the comment section down below.
It's
just
a real
be
glitch
fucking
in the Matrix
sticking
live.
around.
I'm moving closer to my front window where the sunlight would supposedly come in. But there's no sunlight coming in and hitting that light, right? So I'm holding my phone. I'm just gonna walk closer and closer. And as we walk closer, look at the reflection.
Cool.
In February 2017, a passenger on a commercial airliner flying from Warsaw to London spotted something truly bizarre out their window. They shared the pic to the Facebook page, Chile UFO.
Chile.
In the photo overlooking the wing of the plane, you can see a mysterious formation in the distance.
Oh, yo, I saw people walk on the clouds. Yo, there was some people out there.
There are
They were
6
walking
distinct
on the
columns or figures
clouds.
jutting out from the clouds.
I swear. I'd be like, okay, yeah,
Viewers were
me
shocked
too.
at the humanoid-like silhouette the shapes were casting. Some said they were angels or demons,
Oh my
while others
God.
exclaimed they had to
A
be
fucking
aliens.
picture. Is that from anime?
It's unclear whether the other passengers on board the flight also saw the phenomena. It's also a shame the passenger didn't take a video of the bizarre sighting to solidify just how strange it is.
Yo, one time I was on a plane and I
So
saw
for
the
now,
people
all we can do is
outside. They were
speculate
walking on the
what this thing
clouds.
could actually be.
One of those flying buses. What is this? Why is it like panning in on 2 different pictures of it?
This curious snippet of footage has been doing the
Hell
social
yeah.
media rounds lately. It purports to show a time traveler at an Elvis concert in the early 1970s. Take a look.
I don't know any Elvis songs.
As you can see, there appears to be someone in
for,
the
like,
crowd holding what looks like a
Maybe
modern
nothing but a hound dog.
smartphone.
Jailhouse
They're
Rock.
pointing it right at the stage as though filming the event. Obviously, tech like this didn't exist in the early 1970s. Some people thought
Yeah,
it looked
come
like the
on.
Kodak 110 camera,
That is
a slim
ridiculous.
cartridge-based device released in 1972. While this could be a possibility, it looks like the person is filming continuously in portrait mode, up and down. The Kodak camera takes still
No.
images and needs to be held horizontally. Another suggestion is that it's a cigarette case and that the person just happens to be holding it up while being jostled by the crowd. Others noted that an Elvis concert would certainly be a worthy event to time travel to.
Any device that
So what are we
vaguely
actually
looks like a
looking at here,
smartphone
then?
in any
An
old
old Kodak
picture is
camera, a
immediately
cigarette
like
holder, or a genuine case of time travel?
fucking time
Take another look at
traveling.
the footage and decide for yourself.
Yo, they didn't have nobody hold up rectangles ever before. It just started happening.
This freaky piece of CCTV footage was uploaded to our Slaptam subreddit by Elite Wizard 7513. It was captured on a home security feed just north of Carson City in Nevada. As the homeowner loads some things onto their truck, something eerie can be seen in the background. Watch.
Yeah, it's just someone from the future who has no idea that smartphones didn't come out till like 40 years later. They're like, I thought I was period correct. I'm sorry. The time cops throw them in jail. You broke the time rules.
Watching that again, a strange shadow emerges from the darkness, then creeps across the yard. It looks like it deliberately hides behind the car. It then slips between the two vehicles.
When the camera is this quality though, it's so easy for there to be like little
Some
things
viewers
like
thought
happen
that
in
due
it.
to the video's poor quality and low compression rate, we might simply be seeing a distorted dog or cat.
Or anything.
However, others thought the figure's movements looked too deliberate, almost like this strange shadow is stalking the man. The OP suggested it was a shadow figure, or even a ghost.
Literally anything.
It's definitely a strange piece of footage, one
Literally
that gets creepier the more you
anything.
watch it.
Like, look how many different light sources are going on, though. Like, there's so many things that could fuck with it. The brake lights are on that car. This guy's dicking around with the flashlight, which could reflect off of a billion different things. So you could be seeing, like, some fucking weird reflection, I think.
This set of photos was submitted to us on our subreddit by BRX Mum.
BRX Mum.
In 2017, the OP and her family all got together for the passing of their great-grandpa. They took a series of photos at the cemetery as a keepsake for the day. Although somber, everything seemed perfectly fine. That is until the family reviewed the photos they had taken that day. If you take a close look, there appears to be an extra hand.
There's someone right behind
It
her.
looks like dull, grey fingers. Some viewers suggested it might be the woman in green's hand.
Could it be
However, the OP
either of the women
remembers that
behind
she
her?
had her hand on her back at the time, plus the fingers are a dull grey colour and don't match the tone of any of the people present. Given
Yeah,
that the
that
photo was taken
grandma's
at the cemetery,
smiling
even the mere
pretty
suggestion
widely
of
for the
grey reaching
passing of
fingers
her
appearing
husband
out
or
of
whatever.
nowhere is unsettling.
Do you have an even star pendant on?
When TikToker and beloved Talia posted a quick lip sync video, they didn't think much of it and sent it out to their followers to enjoy. However, comments quickly started rolling in asking who was in the background. Take a look.
What's she talking about?
It can be hard to notice at first, but if you slow it down, a
Can be,
shadow
like,
comes in
literally
from the
anyone
left.
there.
Then, right at the end, there's an ominous silhouette in the background. According to the comments, the uploader didn't initially notice the figure and was home alone at the time of recording. People started speculating that it was either a prowler in the house or something paranormal, like a shadow person.
The tarnished are in your house.
Whatever it is, it certainly freaked the comments section out, with most people saying she needs to get out of the house immediately.
He's just like making fun of people who say stuff like that, though. She's not actually saying that, I would assume. He has on makeup.
Here's another strange little clip that was submitted to our subreddit
My
by
God.
Alicia90.
Man turned into smoke. That's kind of crazy. TikTok has 10-minute
Some home
videos now.
security footage that was captured on their property in Bristol, UK. Seems to show something strange moving in their backyard. Take a look.
Yeah, get on TikTok. Yeah, they just moved it to 10 minutes.
As you can see, something grey and mist-like seems to blow through the yard. The uploader mentioned that they've had a lot of strange things happen in and around their house in the past, so they thought this capture was particularly strange. Some commenters thought that at times it looks like a spider's web blowing around in the wind. And while the uploader concedes that this could be a possibility, they checked one of their other cameras that they know has a spider's web on it for sure, and it looked nothing like the object seen here. In the description, the uploader confirmed that whatever it is, it blew about the yard for more than an hour.
Yeah, I mean, if TikTok is where the people are,
Some
then
viewers thought it looked like an
no-brainer, I
apparition of
guess.
some kind, noting it almost looks like it's searching around the
Are
property.
there ads on TikTok?
It's hard to comment
Yeah,
further
I think
on
you're
home
right. The
security footage like this, as
quality
more
never
often than
seems to be
not,
great.
the low compression rate does make everyday objects
It's a good
look more
landing
spooky
platform,
than they
though,
sometimes
basically.
are.
Like a way
So
to get
we'll
a
throw this
sample
one
of
out to
someone's
you, the viewers,
content
to make
or
your
something
own
like
mind
that,
up
more or
on
less,
this
if you think
one.
about it. Everybody for like the past year has been like, you guys, everyone streamers got to make a
Sticking with
TikTok. I'm
backyard
telling you.
sightings, here's
And
another
they're
one from
kinda
our
right.
subreddit submitted by Parawatt.
Even if like one person
The OP
sees
said
it
that
and
they had a
checks out
cat
your
for 15
YouTube or your
years who
stream,
recently passed away, so when they saw this footage, they couldn't
Kinda
help
worth
but
it.
wonder whether something mysterious was afoot. Take a look.
yeah, it's more like a landing platform kind of, I guess.
As you can see, a faint, almost transparent cat runs by. It crosses the yard, then seems to turn into an orb or ball of light and flies off.
Wait, a cat turned into an orb of light?
The OP clarified that a stray cat does sometimes pass through the yard on occasion, but when it does,
It's
and it's
fucking
caught on
anime?
camera, it looks more solid with much more definition than what's been spotted here. They couldn't help but wonder whether this was their dear pet that had recently passed on. Whether this is the spirit of their cat or not remains to be seen, but the fact that this sighting has brought some comfort to the uploader is surely all that matters.
Oh.
In January 2022, Unanswered Universe uploaded this eerie piece of footage to their Instagram account, and it's been freaking viewers out ever since.
Yo, beat the shit out of that chair, bro. Fucking show who's boss. Okay, that slid in a weird way.
This home security feed catches the moment a chair moves, seemingly all on its own. The homeowner goes to inspect it when it suddenly flies towards him. Understandably, most viewers were freaked out by the incident, with many saying the house needs to be blessed by a priest, noting that the chair seemed to move quite aggressively, as though a demonic energy was the cause.
Maybe the chair just wants someone to sit in it.
Others were a little more level-headed, skeptical of the camera angle and why the camera was filming in the first place.
Maybe it just wanted to be used.
So let me know where you sit on this. Demonic energy, or just a prank looking to score some Insta views?
I love
Let me
this
know down
stupid
below.
fucking template. I'd fucking choke slam it. I'd fucking beat the chair up.
In July 2015, Hector Garcia spotted something truly bizarre flying through the sky. The sighting, which took place
Literally
on
just a
Tioga
cloud.
Street in Philadelphia, was uploaded to YouTube for all to see.
Like a plastic bag or something.
A strange, cloud-like object floats through the air. It seems to sparkle in the sunlight. Garcia commented, saying he's never seen anything like it before in his life.
It's a cloud with lights in it. Moving weird. I've never seen nothing like that.
Some viewers thought it was simply a piece of plastic or a giant mass of bubbles caught in a breeze. However, when you place a thermal filter over the top, there appears to be several hot spots. Particularly here, you can see the core of the object looks more dense and warmer than the rest of it. This seems to dismiss the plastic and bubble theory altogether. Bizarrely, a lot of people in the comments section of the clip said that they too have seen objects very similar to this. People from all over the world have said that they've seen strange masses floating through the air just like this. Two prominent theories seem to prevail. One is that
I've
we're seeing
seen it.
some kind of military test, perhaps a biological weapon. And two is that this is an alien life
yes.
form, something
Yes.
completely foreign
Only
to how we
two
normally imagine
possibilities.
alien life. This is definitely a strange one, a clip that only seems to get weirder and weirder the more you watch it.
They've been in the clouds this entire time. They were walking on the clouds. They were using the clouds. They've been here forever.
Before we take a look at a wild story about allegedly haunted dolls in an old UK mansion, remember to hit that subscribe button, tickle that bell
Smash
icon
mouth,
there, and
noob.
turn on all channel notifications. That way you'll be in the loop every time we drop our scary and mysterious videos.
I heard Smash Mouth just came out with a new song and they have a new singer.
Sol Mori
It's like,
is an
how the
artist
fuck?
and TikToker that lives in an old
Just start a
giant
new
mansion
band.
in the UK that looks like something straight out of a horror movie.
You can't just have a new singer in that band.
They claim
Start
it's
over.
haunted as bizarre, unexplainable things happen almost every day. The house is a sprawling manor built in 1902. The OP and her family only recently moved in and are just getting used to the house's eccentricities. Here's a clip explaining some of the odd details about the house.
Yeah, but
Weird
it's
things
Smash
in my
Mouth.
creepy haunted house. Plants that only stay alive in this specific room. Mummified frog and animal bones.
Mummified frog.
Cellar windows. Poison bottles.
American
Loads of
Horror Story
chandeliers.
song playing in the
We have
background.
to chain them up, otherwise they shake. Lots of hammers. Animal bones that appear every morning. Faces in the garden. Overgrown tennis court. Bottles of blue liquid. Clocks in every room. Piano
Oh
that
my
plays on
God.
its own. Unsteady balconies. So many staircases. Paintings of the dead. Abandoned puppet theater. Gilbert lives here, he's not very nice.
He looks nice.
I feel weird here.
In the attic is an
I've
old
seen that
abandoned puppet
sun
theater
before.
with a giant sun mural painted on one of the walls.
What's wrong with Gilbert?
The name Gilbert is etched on the top left.
He looks perfectly fine. There's
Shortly
nothing wrong
after
with him.
moving in, the family began to suspect something strange was happening with the sun painting. They felt like a dark energy was attached to it, giving the whole room an off vibe.
It looks like the sun
Before
from
long,
Sublime,
the
but
OP
someone
overheard her
fucked it
niece
up.
talking to
Yeah.
someone in the attic. When she asked who she was talking to, she replied, Gilbert.
I don't know why the nose is under the eyes. That doesn't really make sense to
Did
me
you like
either.
him?
Yeah,
But it's fine.
Gilbert's like one of my best friends.
Where did he come from?
I don't know. I think the man that used to live here painted it.
Is Gilbert friendly? Does he speak to you?
Yeah,
What does he say?
because I don't pray.
What?
Not long after, they discovered a Ouija board hidden under one of the floorboards in the attic. It had a sun on it that closely resembled the Gilbert painting.
I don't pray.
The OP claims that she started having dreams about a little boy. Being
that
an
might be,
artist, she was able to paint the visions
that's your
she was seeing
problem.
in her dreams. Shortly after, the niece discovered a small doll hidden behind the Gilbert painting. It closely resembles the boy that was visiting the OP in her dreams. Wanting to learn more about the house and its history, Sol Mori investigated the census records for the property.
Here is a
Yeah, I've
photo of the
seen
house
Gilbert
from
somewhere before.
1916, and it
I
was
think I've
built
heard
in
this exact story
1980.
somewhere else
This would
before.
be the first or one of the first families to
It
live
doesn't
in this
surprise me it
house.
would get
As you can see,
reposted
there
to
are 6
TikTok,
people
though, I
present in the
suppose.
photo. Looking at
Rediscovered
the
in
English census
another way.
records, I found that the father would be called John, the mother was called Maud. Next to her on the balcony is a daughter Dorothy. The birth of a little boy called Gilbert was also registered here in 1911.
Gilbert Godfrey
So he would be
here.
about 5 or 6 in this
I'm
photo.
living in your
I'm sure Dorothy is not
walls.
with the rest of his family in the photo. What they did to him. I just have an overwhelming feeling that something really terrible happened to him at the hands of his own family. The weirdest part is that this is where the sun painting is situated in the house. That's his room.
Here we can see a photo from 1916 showing one of the first families to live in the house.
Do you know there's an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark
As
that
you can
has
see,
Ryan
there's a little boy
Gosling
in
and
the attic
Gilbert Godfrey
staring
in
out
it?
of the window. The TikToker suspects that this is Gilbert. For some reason, he seems to have been ostracized from the family. Creepier still, this window is the exact room where the Gilbert painting now sits. As the OP and her family started settling into the house, they began to find old dolls all over the property.
Oh, fuck.
Dozens and dozens of them hidden in the garden, in the attic, behind walls, and under floorboards.
Just smash him with a hammer. Fucking break all that shit. Just someone fucking showing their doll collection off. I feel like I'm being held captive. I think the weird doll thing is just a trick for people to fucking trick us into looking at their fucking dumb dolls sometimes.
Over time, Sol Mori amassed a collection of dolls that she found around the house and on the grounds of the property. Over the course of several months, the dolls began exhibiting some strange behaviour. Take a look.
Hello, Maud. I am asking for clarification as to if there is a spirit attached to your doll. If so, could you please give me some sort of sign, please?
Ronaldinho success!
Thank you.
No problem.
Here's another example here.
One of my new dolls just moved right in front of me when I was talking, so I want to see if I can get it on camera. Hello. Oh my god. Hi. Hi. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't believe I just got that on camera. Wow.
As you can see, the dolls seem to move all on their own.
Oh, come on. It fucking just barely
each
moved.
doll is trying to communicate
Oh my
with her,
god,
and that they all have
it's
their own unique
moved a
story to
little
tell.
bit. Oh, it's fucking haunted.
What we've covered here is just a small part of the overall story
Look
that
at my
Solmori has
dolls.
to tell. We haven't even
I found
touched
them
on
in
the
the
eerie doll
wall.
she found in
No,
a
you
crawl
didn't.
space
You're fucking
behind the
lying.
Gilbert
You didn't find those
painting.
dolls in the wall.
We may need to do a part 2 on this story just to do it justice.
I don't
In the
believe it.
meantime, I highly recommend you go check out Solmori's page for yourself. It's a fascinating story, and I highly
Like, how long
recommend
till we
you start
find
from
out
the
that they
very
have like a
beginning
bad
to take
tattoo
it
of
all
Gilbert,
in.
and this is
As
just
always,
all them
there's links in the description box down below.
to make them feel better about it. You know what
Now,
I
if you
mean?
want to see some more freaky videos, then
Also,
check out
Strawberry,
that
thank you for
link
the
on
raid.
top
What's
there.
going on? Hope you're doing well.
Otherwise, we have a massive creepy paranormal.
Hope you're doing good. Appreciate it. And let's watch one more thing. I don't believe it. Think about it. What dolls have you heard about in the past 5 years that haven't been haunted? Again, another ploy by like big industry trying to make themselves relevant. People don't play with dolls anymore. I see a bunch of executives around a table arguing about it. And like, let's
the upload to have a brief.
just make them all haunted. Bam. Instant relevance. Like, look who actually produced Annabelle The Conjuring. If you watch the credits, Mattel is the like #1 producer at the end. Check it out. Don't take my word for it.
Hello everyone, my name is Spooks, and today we'll take a look at 5 scary videos. So, let's begin. On September 6th, 2009, a mysterious YouTube channel known as RexyBoy34 uploaded a video to his channel in which he ventures out to a forest with 3 of his friends to simply mess around and explore for the day. However, as is often the case, what this group of friends thought would be just a typical walk through the woods ended up turning out to be something truly terrifying, and would give them a story to tell for the rest of their lives. All seems to be going well when all of a sudden,
Yeah, Annabelle's
Rexy
just a
notices
ploy to get everybody
something
to buy
behind
Hot
2 of
Wheels.
his friends
Exactly.
that scares him. Have a look and see.
Just look the numbers up. It makes sense. Mattel's stock
What
price
the hell is
soared.
that? Behind you.
Those people standing there look creepy as fuck.
I'm being serious, there was something there.
What is this
There
film on?
was.
Like a fucking...
I'm not, there was something there.
As soon as Rexy tells his friends to turn around, the mysterious figure disappears without a trace, causing Rexy to insist that there was something there.
I hear like a
By
voice in the
taking a good
background,
look
like
at
a
the
TV
footage he
is on.
captured, it is clear that there definitely was something there.
You hear that?
Still looking around,
radio or
the
something?
friends are ready to brush it off and continue on
Yeah,
with
the
their
quality
nature
of this
walk
video is
when all of a
insane.
sudden, this happens. Understandably,
Oh
upon
my
noticing
God.
this strange figure lurking behind the tree, the friends proceed to let out a piercing shriek before running away, the video abruptly ending shortly thereafter. Sadly, we don't really have much information on this video and what happened afterward, mainly because of just how quiet Rex's channel has been.
This video is fucking
This was
awful.
the
Are you
only
kidding me?
upload he ever made on YouTube, and seeing as how it was all the way back in 2009, I think it's pretty safe to say that he won't be uploading again anytime soon.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they all died.
A man named PJ Manson uploaded a video to his YouTube channel in August of 2020, stating in the description, quote, "Two friends and I were invited to investigate another friend's apartment that has been seeing non-stop paranormal activity," before going on to say that the following
I like this
footage
stock
is
footage of this
easily the
island that Sir
craziest
Spooks
thing
use
that he
all the
has ever
time.
seen.
Look at that
It
scary
doesn't take
island.
long whatsoever for things to get more than a little
like it.
unsettling as soon as PJ's friend starts to record the steps leading down to the downstairs area. Take a look at his startling discovery.
What?
A strange shadow-like figure can be seen peering from around the corner ever so slightly before the video eventually cuts off.
Come
with no
on,
further
man.
explanation given. PJ states that at the time of the recording, he was in the house but in a completely different room, hanging out with a friend who owns the apartment. This makes sense because the figure seen in the video appears to be completely dark and totally featureless. The only way this could be PJ is if he was wearing some sort of a morph suit or something. Interestingly, PJ explained in the description that while he was in the house, his phone was malfunctioning non-stop, and even says that some of the lights in the apartment flickered off camera. And even though this allegedly happened a while ago, PJ says that to this day, he and his friends have absolutely no idea what they managed to capture on camera that day. Let's just hope that whoever PJ's friend is has since moved out of this apartment and into a better one. One that's not being inhabited by paranormal entities.
Yeah, good luck. Fighting the good fight.
On October 14th, 2019, a YouTube channel called Unexplained Mystery Theater uploaded a strange video to their channel that opens up with a bit of context by explaining that the following footage was discovered on a camera
But it's
found
unexplained.
in a Scottish woodland that was recorded by a biker who was using a GoPro to film. In the footage, we see two individuals riding bicycles through a snowy and icy forest, where all seems to be going perfectly fine. However, the man directly in front of the cameraman proceeds to slam on his brakes out of nowhere, causing the cameraman to wonder what the man could have seen that caused him to stop in the middle of the trail. As soon as the man turns his head ever so slightly to the right, he has his answer. Long story short, it is nothing friendly. Take a look. A mysterious witch-like figure can be seen ominously standing in the forest.
Oh, a
staring
witch-like
at the two
figure?
men before letting out a strange scream, which honestly just sounds like the scream
That does
of a
not
fox,
look like it's there.
causing both bikers to
That
pedal
does look
away
kinda
as
freaky,
fast
though.
as they possibly can. The video ends not too long after, seemingly confirming that these two were able to make it out of the woods, albeit with the camera being dropped somewhere along
Yeah, I'm
the
looking
way
for a
out.
girl with a witch-shaped body.
If you take a good long look at the figure in question, it appears to be wearing long dark robes and has an incredibly
People should use
strange
that
looking
as their
face that
Tinder
appears to be
profile.
mostly featureless and completely grey. What do you guys think happened here? Was it an actual witch caught in the forest, or was it just a simple hoax? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Taking your dog out for a walk is something that millions of people all around the world do on a daily basis in order for their beloved pet to get some fresh air and some good exercise for the day. It's a very common activity and one that you would think is totally safe. However, as evidenced by the following video, that's not always the case. In the footage, we watch as a girl walks her dog.
Doesn't Sir Spook sound like
Everything
really
is
a
going
lot like
completely fine
Slap
until
Tam?
eventually
These are just
the
both
dog
Australian,
begins
I
to
guess.
react to something in the distance, causing the girl to be confused. She scans her surroundings but is unable to see
Sound
what
very
the dog
similar,
is so
right?
scared of, before eventually continuing on with their nightly walk. But as you're about to see, something is definitely there in the forest with them.
Come on, Bruce.
Yeah, he's definitely like a little bit more laid back sounding. The video of the human thing running after the car.
Come on.
Yeah, I know what video you're talking about. I think exactly. We've seen it a million times. That is a cool video.
Come on.
Like fake or not, that's a cool video.
Off to the girl's right, a creepy figure dressed in all black and with a long face
Trying to like hold
and
back a
big
sneeze and the
eyes can
mic
be
turned
seen
back on.
standing right near a tree, ominously staring directly at her and her dog. Interestingly, it seems as if the girl did not notice this eerie figure at the time of filming, because whenever her camera pans to the figure in question, she does not have any sort of reaction to the figure standing near her. However, it's more than safe to assume that she noticed it when she got home and reviewed the footage, where she probably got goosebumps all over her body upon realizing that what started off as a nice relaxing stroll with her dog was actually something much more sinister. Judging by the figure's appearance, it is safe to assume that it could be some sort of alien-like creature. So what do you think? Did this young girl manage to film authentic footage of an alien spotted in the woods? Is this some other type of creature, or is this whole thing completely fake? Be sure to let me know your opinion in the comments below. On March 3rd, 2021, a YouTuber named Mel Murder uploaded a video to her channel which showcases her walking around in a Swedish forest late at night, where it's just her, the trees, and outstretched darkness as far as the eye can see. However, little does the YouTuber know there is one other thing that's in the forest with her that night. In the description of the video, Mel Murder says that she was trying to make a story for her Instagram page while taking a walk in the forest late at night. Upon uploading the stories to her account, she immediately received a plethora of direct messages from her followers telling her that there was something rather unsettling that she captured at one point in the video, causing her to go back and review the footage. What she saw absolutely petrified her.
Murder den här veckan och jag undrar vad han kommer ställa för diagnos på mig. Och alltså...
Peering out from behind a tree, you can make out what appears to be some sort of mysterious ghost or creature keeping Mel Murder company. In the video, the uploader insists that she has absolutely no idea what this thing is, and says that she did not fake anything. To this day, she's completely clueless as to what she ended up capturing on camera. What do you think she filmed that night? Was this some sort of a ghost? Or a humanoid entity? I'll let you be the judge.
I'll let you be the judge.
And that was 5 scary videos. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then subscribe for more scary content. My name is Sir Spooks, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Alright. Here's a link to that video if you want to check it out. Sir Spooks. Pretty good. I'm gonna do one more video. One more. Hmm. One more. Yo, Airborne. Thanks for that resub, dude. How you doing? This is a channel I've never watched before. See if it's any good.
When I started working my last job, it was for people who had assisted living homes, beautifully built to accommodate the elderly. Days before starting work at a newly built house, the company owner had me take some things over there one evening. It was autumn and growing dark earlier.
Dude, what the
with
fuck is this?
Time closing in pitch black, where there were no
fucking giant
lighted
mana
areas.
tree.
It was an area where new homes were being built near surrounding woods, with very few streetlights. Upon entering the new house, I went to find the place and was told to put the stuff down. I walked around admiring the beautiful
Secret
new
of Mana
rooms and
Old Person
furniture,
Home.
although something seemed off. I knew that I was fortunate to be getting the full-time position on my preferred shift working in this beautiful new house.
So it's
Although I was
Mario.
satisfied, something in the atmosphere seemed very off. It wasn't the expectant feeling of being a bit nervous, working with different people, with most of whom I'd never met, or the feeling of emptiness of a place or property having been never occupied.
Nah,
The
it's just the
entire
same art
area
style as
where the
Archer.
homes were being built just felt off.
Just looks like Archer
Business
to me.
at the new house began as it slowly filled with residents and more than enough
That's what they
work
built
for
with
one
all
or
that
two of
stuff?
them
That's
alone.
it?
Strange vibes from the house still were going strong. It wasn't until several months later
I thought there was
the
gonna be like a
workers began
giant
to
mall.
mention strange experiences they had. This didn't happen until some residents had passed away in the home, but I did not consider that as being the
Car
reason for
backing
the
up.
strange events. Not entirely, anyway. The first weird thing that I heard was that a co-worker was telling me that she felt as though she was being smothered as she sat near a resident's bedside working the midnight shift. I will always remember the time that I was taking a break and making popcorn in the microwave. Some had
That
burned.
fucking popcorn.
Fearing it would smell up the house, I took it to the garage that was conveniently attached to it. When I came back inside the house, the entire kitchen reeked with the scent of air freshener. There were plug-in air fresheners in other rooms of the house, but none in the kitchen at the time. The strong scent I was smelling was nothing like the other air fresheners, and they were not even the type that have the automatic sprays. I checked all over the house for any air freshener spray cans or cleaners that may have been a cause for the scent, but found nothing. All cleaners were in the garage, and the residents were all sitting quietly in the living room.
Who did this?
Some incidents that were told to me were from two co-workers that experienced lights turning
Yeah, an
on and
assisted
off
living home
without
wouldn't
them
be like a
touching
fucking tower.
One worker said that she had turned out the main light in the living room.
I mean, I guess
because
it
it
could
was
be, but
bothering a
ideally, I don't
resident's
think that they're
eye.
just making like
After helping all of the residents to bed that night, she came back
towers
up
in the
from the
woods.
hall only to find it was turned back on. She thought someone was in the house. A worker on the midnight shift mentioned that she had the lights on in the main part of the house. She had gone into another area of the house, and when coming back out, she found the lights out and very dark. One evening after my shift, I was talking
He's
to
got
one of
the
my good
fucking hat on
co-workers over the
still.
phone as she was working at the house. She told me that she had heard something in the hall area near some of the bedrooms. To her surprise, she found one of the Christmas ornaments that hung on a doorknob moving all on its own.
That's weird.
It was repeatedly lifting out and hitting the door in a quick, timely manner.
Has anyone ever seen Twin Peaks: The
Creating
Return? He just looks like he's wearing Dougie's coat. Doesn't he?
knocking. The ornament was very light, made of felt in Christmas colors,
Except it looks
with
like
small
pajamas.
bells lined down the middle and front. There was also a small brown felt Christmas tree on the bottom of the front. All of the bedroom doors had one of these kind of ornaments hanging from the outer doorknobs to decorate for Christmas. What creeped me out was the methodical, rhythmic way it was knocking.
Yeah, I have no
as
idea
if
where
something
this
was saying
story's
hello.
going.
She took a video on it on her phone, and I asked
We're
her
still
what
in
she
the old
thought
person's
about
home?
it.
I'm so confused.
She said she didn't know what to think. She
Why is there
wasn't
a
one to
fucking
believe in
ocean
ghosts.
outside now? I thought we were in the woods.
I thought that maybe she was trying to play a funny prank on me. I tried to use a fan to blow the ornament and see if I could get it to move like it had been before. The fan just made it blow in all directions no matter what speed I set, or where the fan was placed. It seemed to me that if a string was used to make it move, The ornament could have been much heavier for a quick pull of gravity to make that precise knocking. Some months later, a new employee started working the midnight shift and was doing room checks. When approaching the door that once had the moving Christmas ornament, she heard the little elderly resident inside speaking with someone that sounded like another elderly lady. This was when all the other residents were soundly sleeping in their own rooms. Some nights later, I was told that the same resident came out of that room in hysterics one night, fearing that demons would harm her. I heard of this happening at least twice. This was entirely out of character for her. Demons were never something she'd speak of. Perhaps she was reacting to something in that
No, he just built himself
room.
a room in the house.
Years later, the room became open for another occupant. Another little lady came to stay. When she was being assisted to her room for bedtime every night, she always stood in the doorway making the sign of the cross and would say, "Bless the room." This I know to be true. I had seen her do it. No one had told her the story of it. It was as though she knew that something wasn't quite right.
It's 3:33 a.m. We're watching
One
Assassin
afternoon,
Rapper.
a
Don't
worker
look in the
came
mirror.
for her shift, and the company owner also came in around
You
the
will
same
become
time.
a story. Oh wait, this is an
needing
Assassin
some
Rapper. I
help,
take that back.
Taking some stuff
Cancel that.
down to the basement. I stayed over my shift to help.
Like Chuck E.
We
Cheese
braced
color
the
scheme.
basement door, which was designed to swing shut and automatically lock. My co-worker bumped a tall, thick drinking glass off the kitchen counter. It hit the hard, tile floor, sliding towards the open basement door, and down the stairs it went. I could hear it hitting every step before landing at the bottom. It was a tall stairwell, and I dreaded cleaning broken glass. I went to retrieve it, not seeing any broken glass on the steps. When I picked up the glass, I could find no breaks, cracks, or chips upon examining it, though, when I had been expecting to find it damaged in at least some way. There was also a kind of chaplain that would come to the house and tell inspirational stories to the residents. He would sing and play music to them and have them sing along. They loved him. I briefly mentioned to him about paranormal things happening around the house, and I asked him if he could bless the house, and he said a nice prayer. One day when I was at work, a frequent visitor called me over to her and shockingly told me that something had just whispered her name in her ear. Another day, when she was visiting, she mentioned feeling an oppressive, threatening feeling as she went through her mother's clothes in the closet. She said that she was going to bring in some holy water and bless the house. She and I were in agreement on never talking about anything we discussed about the house.
Why?
One day not too long after, she brought in the holy water, and we walked through the house in prayer. She marked each door in the sign of the cross with holy water, and the paranormal activity seemed to die away after that for a bit. One night, a co-worker working the midnight shift
It's just like
was putting up
Christmas,
Christmas
sometimes
decorations on the
randomly.
fireplace mantle. She took pictures with her phone camera of how it looked when she was done. A picture I had her send to my
Has
phone
it been a year?
shows
What the hell's
eerie
going on?
bluish rays near the fireplace mantle by the ornaments and by the Christmas tree. She told me she had done a video in the room and it showed some really crazy stuff, but she deleted it. It was fun to kid co-workers and put out Christmas ornaments like that one moving on its own.
It was Tuesday.
So I don't
It
know
was Christmas
what
again.
it was with the Christmas decorations, but something seemed strangely attached to them. The house owner apparently bought many of them at different yard sales. I had also worked with two good co-workers, each in different years, who noticed the strange feeling from the house and surrounding area. We often wondered and talked about possible causes of it.
Why are they at a restaurant?
The final creepy experience that I recall happened one afternoon when I stayed after my shift and was talking with a co-worker and a visitor in the kitchen. We were talking about some of the weird things about the house, and she was sharing some of her own paranormal experiences that had happened in her own life. Right in the middle of conversation, 3 loud, distinct knocks could be heard coming from a nearby bathroom that was in plain view. We all heard it. None of us recalled seeing anyone go in there, and residents would have needed assistance walking anyway. We opened the bathroom door to find it dark and empty. Make of these experiences what you will, but I guarantee you that they are all true.
I've been sitting on this for a bit for a few reasons. It's really long, and I wanted to be able to gather facts to support my story, and quite frankly, I didn't want to type it up while I'm in my house.
I like this narrator.
As you can tell with the stories on my page, I have been engulfed in the gray of this world since I was a child. Until recently, I had never met someone who was
The
as
house is
sensitive
just a
as me.
giant staircase.
It was enlightening and equally
Fucking doesn't
terrifying.
make sense as it goes up.
I've been renting my house from
There's
a
like
family member
construction
for several
workers.
years now. Since day one,
Some security
I knew it was
guard
haunted.
showed up for a day.
I could feel the energy
disappeared.
change the moment I stepped inside, and I could also tell it wasn't necessarily negative. I'm not a stranger to the paranormal, so when little things would happen, like items moving or going missing, inaudible conversations in other rooms, or even my dog looking at an empty corner or wall, I wouldn't usually react, and I even nicknamed the ghost Bernadette, and would jokingly ask her or it to stop. However, within the last 6 months, the activity has intensified. I have had individuals in my house who are complete skeptics, but they have witnessed glasses thrown across the room and shattered everywhere, pictures falling from the wall, something or someone walking down the empty hallway and hearing it, and hearing people talking that weren't there. I even had to have my brother check that my gas alarm was still active because of the random areas in the house that started to smell like rotten eggs.
Fucking apartment? What is
Halloween
with this
night,
person and making
I
these
had a very
insane
small
houses?
get-together, 6 people. One of my guests
Whoa.
brought her wife, who I'd only met one other
Jeez.
time. While my friends were playing games and passing
Little
out candy, my
photosensitivity
friend's wife,
warning.
we'll call her Emily, pulled me to the side, seemingly upset
Way
and
too
stated that she needed
fast.
to discuss something with me. She first asked if I knew about Mary. I'm running names through my head that my coworker had mentioned, and
For like
I've
no
heard of
reason,
Mary.
it's just like bzzz.
I obviously tell her no, and she proceeds to tell me a very detailed story about my house. She explained that I had 3 spirits in my house. A spirit named Mary, a spirit
That
named
kind of
Franklin,
looks like
and that I had a spirit who was always with me, named Gary.
What do you call it?
She stated that Mary had died in the house a long time ago. Franklin had died on
Agent
the land
Scully a
before
little bit.
Mary from a plowing accident and was still in his death state.
What?
She also confirmed my suspicion of extra activity.
Right? Do you get Scully from her?
A few nights
channel a
prior, in
little
the
bit?
middle of the night, I was in bed and jumped up from my sleep from a huge bang against my bedroom wall.
This is very
and a picture
cinematic.
falling onto the end of the bed. Obviously, I was startled and especially spooked when I could see the indentation in my wall from what appeared to be something that had hit it. I jokingly said, "Not cool, Bernadette," and went back to sleep. Emily knew about this. She knew he had hit my wall and said it was Franklin's way of trying to get my attention. That when things are thrown in the house or fall off the wall, that it's Franklin. Apparently he is angry because I don't react. In my mind at this moment, I'm thinking, who's this woman? I don't know her, and I haven't told anything
Not
to
cool,
her wife about my
Bernadette.
creepy house. I'm open with my experiences on here, but I'm very hush in person because of others' reactions. So I ask, how do you know this stuff? And her response still, as I'm typing this, chills me to my bones.
I just bought
Because
that.
he's standing right behind you. My first reaction is to look behind me. Nothing. Second reaction is to ask why I can't see him. He doesn't want me to. Third reaction is, why does he want to scare me? He wants attention. Since that night, the activity in my previously mildly creepy house has been off the charts. I don't get spooked easily. I have seen things that you see in horror movies, but my house is scary. The energy has shifted. I feel like I am constantly on fight or
My
flight
house
mode.
is scary.
I am typing this at work because I feel like someone is constantly looking over my shoulder, and I don't want whatever or whoever is to read this. I know, it sounds crazy. It's just my dog and me in the house.
Dude,
and
this poor
even
dog.
he
I
has
feel
been
like I've
acting
seen him
differently.
before.
I've
Why
caught
does he
him
only have
multiple
one nail
times
on that
sitting in the
hand?
hallway looking at nothing, whimpering, and then
Why does he only have
runs
one
under the
nail
bed.
there? What the hell's
I
going
literally
on?
have to drag him out. When I'm changing clothes or taking a shower, I feel uncomfortable because I feel someone is watching me. The house is nearly unbearable to live in at the moment, and
Yeah, I
I've been
feel
at a
uncomfortable
loss
too.
on how to make it go back to my mildly spooky house. I have used
Maybe
my
you
sage
shouldn't take a
twice now,
shower in
and
Marge Simpson's
I
hair.
think it just makes him mad. Franklin, that is.
Might not be
With
effective.
that being said, I have amazing friends and connections to the historical site of my town. With some research, I found Mary and some other interesting details. Mary Frank, 48, died suddenly in my house on August 26, 1919, from neuralgia. Her spouse, Charles Frank, held the funeral in my house. I haven't been able to find a Franklin yet. However, before the Franks occupied my house,
Yeah,
it
the
was a
boobs
stable
are weird
for
in
horses.
this one.
It could be a huge coincidence
That one animated
Mary's
we were
last
watching,
name is
they
Frank,
made them fucking
and maybe
gigantic.
Emily
Now
didn't get a clear message.
I don't know what's happening.
I'm honestly not sure.
That one looks pointy.
I have asked her since, and
right?
she still thinks his name
Like this looks like it would hurt, like there's some kind of it comes to a point. I don't know, man. This one
is Franklin. She's even come back to my house and told him to stop. He won't listen. I do plan to keep researching the area for a man named Franklin, but I'm not sure that there will be any documentation. Another interesting thing is that I do and did know a Gary, and he has actually been brought up before. Gary was my mother's best friend's husband who passed away from a heart attack when I was young. At the time, we lived on 20-plus acres of land, and he loved to go hunting on our property.
with an axe.
When he passed,
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
just going
his
hunting.
wishes to have his ashes spread on our land. I was told many years ago that Gary watched over me. I know the activity in my house is increasing. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe because I am more aware now, but I don't feel in danger. I never have because I know Gary is there.
When I was a child, I used to have the strangest dreams. I would find myself in a sun-drenched field playing ball with a 6-year-old African girl, her hair in twists, clad in a red and white checked gingham romper.
Just wearing
Eventually, her
a
dad, an
picnic
enormous dusty farmer equipped with a
blankets.
pitchfork and leading a horse, would call her home. She would wave goodbye and I would seize away.
The eyes are so
I had this
fucked
dream
up.
several times, each time similar, with the difference being the game we played. Perhaps ball,
Everyone's
maybe other
eyes are
times
just fucked
hunting
up.
for insects, or simply lazing around on the grass. I knew her name was Sarah. I knew her family worked on the land. Somehow, I knew the land. Then one night I had a lucid dream. I was in my bed asleep, and thought it was the middle of the night. Light
These
streamed
kids
in
need
though
some
as if it were
sleep.
noon, and Sarah was by my bed, tugging
Yeah,
my
I can't do
nightgown
this.
sleeve.
This one's just too much. They just got progressively worse. That is an interesting channel, though. It's like more and more dreamlike. All right, one more. One more. A classic.
There used to be a pond about half a mile away from my old house that I would commonly go fishing in. It was
we go.
nicknamed Daryl's Pond. I still have no idea who Daryl was or why it was called that, but nobody owned it, so people would once in a blue moon go fishing there as well. It was usually me by myself, though. I had dug a pole into the ground where I would tie a noose to and from my small kayak. I'd say it was about 3 in the afternoon when I rowed out to the middle of the pond, the sweet spot for getting a decent catch. There was another person coming out from the trees. I
What if
waved
you
at
went to
him
the
and gave him a
barber and you're like, I
smile.
need a haircut like this?
He hopped into a small boat
Like
floating
4
by the
different
edge of the
haircuts
pond
combined.
and began to row over to me. As he got close enough where trying to speak to him wouldn't come off as obnoxious, I gave him a friendly, "Perfect day, isn't it?" "Yes, absolutely," he said. He didn't say anything after that, and I started to feel a bit awkward, as if I were obligated to keep some kind of conversation rolling now. "So, you come out here to throw some lines?" I asked.
I've never heard
"No,
anyone
I
ever
don't
say that in
actually
my
fish."
entire life.
Oh.
If someone said that to me, I'd
Well,
be
it's never a bad day to relax on the
did you just
pond, I said. He continued to row closer to me until
to
his
some
boat collided with
mines?
mine, creating a big thud. I was genuinely uncomfortable now. I didn't feel threatened, just weirded out. I was only 24 years old. This guy looked like he was late 40s or 50s. There was an awkward silence. I tried to just act like I was focused on trying to make a catch, but by now that wasn't even on my mind. This guy was weird. I didn't know what he wanted, and I was uncomfortable being so close to him.
Just get the fuck out of there.
I felt him looking at me, or at least in my direction, as I faced halfway to the opposite direction of him. I took a quick glance to my right. Yeah, he was staring at me. I decided to be ballsy and lock eye contact with him. After about 4 seconds, he looked away.
Ballsy.
So, where are you from? I asked him. Up there. He pointed behind himself, in the direction of the woodsy hill leading past the dirt road. Oh, you live by Suffolk? I asked. No, I'm not, he said. What made you decide to come out here? I said. Why not? I continued to try and uncomfortably fill the awkward silences that kept coming up. His responses were dry. He didn't contribute anything to what was barely a conversation. He just sat there not doing anything with half a smile on his face, looking either at me or in my general direction throughout. I was creeped out. My heart was racing at this point. I'd go as far as saying that I was nervous for my life. We were surrounded by trees in all directions in the middle of a pond. I started to row a bit closer to land, but in a very low-key kind of way, trying to play it off as me just trying to find a better spot to find some fish. I was horrified when I saw he was following me. What a great day, huh? I felt a shake in my voice. I got close enough to the edge of the pond where I finally told the man, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I turned to see his reaction.
I'm gonna call it a day.
He was still staring at me, but his smile was gone now. I can't let you leave, he said. He lifted his flannel to expose a handgun sticking out of his jeans pocket. As soon as I could process what I was looking at, I dove out of the boat for land, ran the whole half-mile uphill through the woods back to my house, and locked every door and window as soon as I made it home. I pulled down the blinds to the dining room window, leaving it open just a crack for peeking outside undetected. It started to get dark out, and I left every light in the house off, still peeking out to the front yard, making sure I wasn't followed. The time came when I finally decided I wasn't followed. I realize now, like you, that not calling the police immediately was a huge mistake.
Yep, probably.
I kept my bedroom windows open to let the room air out. My bedroom was on the second floor, so I wasn't worried about being watched through the window. About half an hour after shutting the light and falling under the covers, I heard the sound of leaves crunching from outside. I sat up to hear it more clearly. It was definitely something walking around out there. Normally I would assume it was a deer or a bear, but after what just happened, I was still in paranoia mode.
How would you just go to sleep?
I sat up as still as a statue, except for my shaking out of fear, waiting as the sounds of the steps stopped. Hey buddy, you up there? Are you trying to sleep? Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. I felt like 100 pounds just fell directly onto my chest. It was the same voice. I knew it right away. I didn't make a sound. I crept out of the room quietly downstairs to the kitchen and grabbed the phone, practically crawling on my way out to avoid being seen through the open blinds. I called 911 like I should have earlier in the temporary safety of my bedroom. I made sure to whisper into the phone, as I was still hoping that he hadn't yet heard or spotted me. 20 minutes felt like an hour as I sat behind my bed, waiting for the police to arrive in constant fear that I would hear glass breaking from downstairs, or a thud on the back door, or even just a voice again from down below my window outside. The police did a thorough investigation of the property in nearby woods, turning up nothing. They suggested I stay with a friend or a family member for a few days, and so I did. I never heard from or saw the man again, but I still moved a month later. I couldn't deal with the constant fear and paranoia of being watched through my windows. I feel much more comfortable fishing out by the bay now.
Yeah, you better watch out for Jason. Might get you. You think it's a believable one? I guess. Somewhat believable. I suppose. I don't remember this one at all.
In the year 2009, I was spending a weekend with my uncle on his ranch when my parents were renovating the new house we had just bought. It was my second night there, a Saturday, and it happened to be during one of the biggest thunderstorms of the year. I'd say there were at least 3 crashes of thunder and lightning per minute. And we were in the heart of the storm because the thunder would crash not even a second after the lightning would. I always enjoyed listening to storms while laying in bed. So I stayed up a little later watching TV, just enjoying the ambiance. After the movie I was watching finally ended, I turned off the TV and tried to fall asleep.
Damn.
As I heard the lightning strike from outside, I could have sworn I heard some kind of metallic thud coming from outside at the same time.
What sort of thud?
I didn't pay it too much mind.
It's like Shawshank Redemption.
20 seconds later, I could have sworn I heard it again. A very distinct metallic thud coming from outside to match the timing of the lightning. I really don't mean to make this sound like a cliche horror story, but my uncle really is a kind of creepy guy, and I was never close with him even remotely. So for that reason, I didn't feel right going to wake him up. I just tried to forget about it.
Yeah, don't wake him up.
Now I was getting concerned. What the hell could that be?
Fuck that guy.
After the 3rd time, I finally got out of bed and walked over to the window of the guest bedroom.
What could it be?
The water pouring down on the window made it extra hard to see what was out there in the dark fields. A flash of lightning momentarily lit up the property, but I couldn't see anything. However, once again, the sound of a metal hit accompanied it. The sound was so close now, it sounded like it was coming from the left of the window at a blind spot. I was going to do something I knew my uncle wouldn't be happy about. It would be a bit messy, but I was going to open the window and peer outside to see if I could see what the sound was. I unhooked the window lock and slid it up, and immediately the wind of the storm blew drops of rain into the room and onto me. I stuck my head out the window and looked to the left, and at that very moment, lightning lit up the property once again, and I could see a person dressed in all black crouched down by the outside basement door with his hand raised in the air. And before the sky went dark, I caught the briefest glimpse of what the sound was coming from. The person was bashing at the basement door lock. I pulled my head in and quietly shut the window, making sure to lock it. I was in a panic. I feared he might have seen or heard me. I ran back to bed and pretended to be asleep, facing away from the window. Lightning crashed once again, but this time there was no metallic thud. My heart must have dropped as I realized this. I just stayed put in bed for the longest time, hoping whoever was out there would go away. After maybe 3 more lightning crashes without any thuds accompanying them, I thought it would be safe to go tell my uncle. I turned to face the window and screamed. There was a figure, clear as day, standing at the window, looking in at me. I screamed as loud as I could and ran straight to my uncle's room. He went outside with his hunting rifle with nothing on but his pajamas, not even socks. He ran around the entire property yelling like a madman, but didn't find anyone. The next morning, we were able to better see the marks on the basement door lock. It was almost bashed open. Maybe 3 or 4 more good hits would have done it, according to my uncle. He was proud of me for picking up on it. Luckily, I was out of there that same day. My uncle hasn't told us of any incidents since, so I think he's been okay. Not that we talked to him much at all. I'm grateful I stayed up a little later that night watching that movie, because I may have just stopped a robbery, or possibly much worse.
May have stopped a robbery. would be worse than that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen this one.
Back when I was in college, me and my best friend Miko heard a rumor that our dormitory was haunted. I didn't encounter anything in the 2 years of staying there, so I was skeptical. I could see why the rumor
This is
started.
like a dead guy.
Our dorm was kind of creepy, and Miko was convinced it was true. One day, I placed a hot cup of coffee in the sink and said, "If this cup magically empties itself by the time we get back from school, I'll believe you." "Deal. Want to bet on it?" "Deal." "Come on, you won't bet on it because you know you'll lose." When I arrived home, I noticed Miko was asleep. It seemed quite weird as he would normally be playing games or cooking in the kitchen. I put my bag on the table and noticed the cup in the sink. I knew it, I said to myself. I started to pour the coffee away when my phone vibrated. "Why are you calling me?" I thought perhaps he left his phone at school. I answered. "Hello?" "Hey, just eat without me tonight if you're hungry. I'm still at the store getting food supplies for next week. I grabbed some coffee. I noticed we're almost out. Oh, and I tried looking for that green sauce you put in your homemade burgers. No luck, though."
Green sauce?
"But wait, another checkout just opened. I'll cook tonight. I shouldn't be too long. See ya." I was confused. My eyes darted around the room as I tried to gather my thoughts.
What the fuck was that conversation?
That's when I realized
Eat without
something.
me? Wait, no. I'm gonna make food now? What the hell was that?
I was too freaked out at this point. No. No. "Hey, I hope you're hungry." Oh.
The bag becomes Bart Simpson. It has Bart Simpson hair, so the bag is just him.
Thanks to XP Pen for sponsoring this video and sending over their new
All right, XP Pen.
13-inch Pro model. Llama.
It up. Hooking it up. All right, one last story for real. One last one. Oh yeah, they've gotten a lot of sponsors, I think. It's a pretty giant channel. They have millions of views on their videos. Literally, these videos have 5 million views. The fishing one has 5.2 million. Billions. Literally billions, maybe. Literally billions.
So me and a couple of my buddies went camping last summer alongside the Willamette River. We actually had a decent hike into the deep end of woods.
Also, they were like one of the
We did
first
some
people to
night
do stuff
fishing,
like this
listening to music,
on YouTube.
and basically drank
like-
to the point where everything was funny later
Not
in
the
night.
first, but
I would guess we finally called it a night somewhere past 2 a.m. I shared a tent with one of my buds, while the other two shared another tent. We heard them laughing about something. At first we laughed at the sound of their laughing, but it soon got annoying and we yelled for them to
it's
shut
the
up.
Mario kids.
One of them responded, "It isn't us." I sat up, startled at the response. I came to realize that it was the sound of only one person laughing, and it didn't sound like either one of my friends. Even in my drunk state, I realized how odd it was for somebody to be out this far in the woods so late at night. The laughing gradually got closer and louder to our campout. My friend shot up and looked at me with a worried look on his face. I heard my other friends scream over to us that they were getting freaked out. As the laughing got even closer, I could make it out very clearly to be the laugh of a male, probably in his 30s or 40s. He sounded like he was as drunk as us, messing around with friends, but we only heard his laugh, nobody else. There was something indescribably creepy about his laugh too, as if it was missing something to it. You had to be there to understand what I mean. The laughing was now just at the edge of our campsite, but we couldn't hear any footsteps at all. Now that may not seem like a big deal. It was impossible to move through that without making noise. And finally, all of a sudden, the laughing stopped completely. We had no idea where whoever that was standing, as he hadn't made a single stepping sound. We sat there in silence looking at each other. My friend was clearly freaking out, but he was keeping it together the best he could. Finally, something broke the silence. The sound of something rubbing against the cottony fabric of the tent. We saw the outline of a hand through the moonlight, pressing on the tent. We both screamed at the top of our lungs before getting out of the tent. We ran as fast as we could through the woods, our other friends following us. After about 5 minutes of running, we somehow found our car. I actually puked from running so much before taking the wheel. I don't condone drinking and driving, but I still believe we were just in this situation. By far the most horrific experience of my life. No idea who or what the hell that was, or what they wanted.
I like how the audio just gets like a little corrupted at the end. The Matrix is real confirmed again. All right, I lied. One more.
This happened 4 years ago when I was still in high school. I was told to do
I've
my
seen a
last
place that
delivery
looks
of
like
my
that.
shift. I got in my car, which was a 1999 Camry, perfect for delivering pizzas. I GPSed the address on my phone. I live upstate in the country, so all pizza deliveries were long drives. I remember the sun was starting to set, so it was probably around 7 o'clock. I'd say after a good 15 minutes of driving through the foresty dirt roads, my GPS said I had arrived. It was an old little cottage-like house made almost entirely of wood. It was sitting all by itself in the middle of absolutely nothing but forest. The lawn was completely unkept, as the grass was almost at knee height. I was used to this kind of thing, so I didn't think much of it. I took the pizza to the front door. There was no doorbell, so I knocked loudly on the door. Within 10 seconds, I heard the sound of footsteps hitting wood on the inside of the house. The footsteps made it to the door and stopped. I started to feel uneasy. I got the feeling that I was being watched. And that's when I noticed there was a peephole in the door. "It's the pizza
Is it
guy,"
Sonic
I
Ring
called out.
or a Spaghetti-O?
I heard a low, harsh-sounding voice on the other side of the door, telling me to bring the pizza out back. I didn't like the idea of going back there. Something didn't seem right. "Are you sure, sir?" I called out. He didn't answer my question. The sound of footsteps didn't move away from the door, so I had the feeling he was still watching me. I almost found myself walking back to my car, but I decided I didn't want any trouble with my boss. The last time I brought a pizza back, he gave me attitude, so I reluctantly walked through the uncut grass and around the small house to the back. I remember there was a shed and a little patio back there. In the patio, there was a table with 4 chairs surrounding it. In one of the chairs, facing away from me, I saw the head of somebody sitting in the seat. I began walking over and said, "Excuse me," but the person didn't even move an inch. "Excuse me," I said again louder. Then from behind me, I heard, "Psst, over here." I turned around to see a man poking his head out from the corner of the house, looking at me with a crazed smile. "Come over here, I want to show you something." I freaked out, turned around and ran around the house in the opposite direction, back to my car, for some reason still holding the pizza. I got in my car, started it, and got away from there. On my way back to the pizzeria, I pulled over to the side of the road and called the police. Eventually, I was informed that there was no sign of anybody having been in that house for a long time. I quit my delivery job a few days after that. I have no idea what would have happened to me had I gone up to that man, but to this day, I still wish I had just turned my head to see who or what was sitting in that patio chair.
They really needed some pizza. Really needed it.